Damn! That's a good fucking lamp. Yo, what is up guys, this is Tyrannic Swine here, and welcome to another game review. This time I am reviewing The Order 1886, a third-person action-adventure game that is set in the year of 1886. And it pretty much takes on a more steampunk version of Victorian London, except the whole story is that you're a part of an order of the Holy Knights who pretty much were around during the King Arthur days, and pretty much you go around defending London from enemy ancient threats like Lycans, which are like werewolf sort of guys, and vampires. Now, this game only has a campaign, there's really nothing else to it, and the story is you follow, well, your character, Sir Galahad, you pretty much start out trying to uncover this sort of mystery that sort of turns into a secret plot and some like weird stuff that's been going on within the order itself and stuff like that. The story isn't particularly fantastic since it's pretty damn very cliched and very obvious, very predictable from the very get-go, and plus it just moves forward way too quickly, because this game, despite how good looking this game is for its time, is incredibly short, especially for a single player only game. I played this game and it took me less than 6 hours to complete, and this was on like medium difficulty, which I guess is the normal difficulty for this game, and it surprised me how quickly I was able to complete the damn game. And yeah, and that is only just the beginning of the disappointments, because story-wise, like the pacing of this game is pretty damn quick. Like you go from one section to another, and then it just ends on what it thinks it's gonna get a sequel. There's a lot of disappointing aspects of this game, and the characters don't even help either. I mean, none of the characters I even liked in any way. I thought every single character was boring as hell. Even Sir Galahad. I just felt like there was really nothing there for the characters, and it kind of felt obvious who the main villains were, even though it was trying to hide it. Because it's like, you mainly are fighting against the rebels, and then apparently it turns out they're actually the good guys, and then it turns out to be guys that are within the Holy Knights Order, and that's pretty much it. It didn't really surprise me whatsoever that was the outcome in some cases. And yeah, the story just did not do anything for me whatsoever, and I did try. I mean, it was a decent concept. The fact that it's like a steampunk Victorian London where you're as the King Arthur's knights who use like something called black water to heal yourself after very dangerous injuries, who go around fighting against ancient threats like werewolves or lycans and vampires and stuff like that. That's a decent concept. I like that idea, but the way this game executed it was not very good. It was pretty damn bad, and throughout the whole time nothing made me laugh, nothing made me feel excited or anything like that. I just had a bland face going through the whole game, and the fact that I got it done in like less than 6 hours is even more surprising. And because the fact that this game feels like a continuous movie or film, whatever country you're from, whether you're American or British, it doesn't matter how I pronounce that. It was really stupid how this game made me feel like I was in a movie the whole time, like I was just acting out a movie, especially considering it has the friggin', the black squares above it, and I was just like, is this supposed to be a movie? Because you would play the game, it starts out, there's a lot of cutscenes in this game. It's like, once you start playing the game, you'll suddenly get interrupted by another cutscene. And yeah, this game feels like it's just trying to show off the graphics of the PS4, which it kind of was. Even though the PS4 had already been out for like almost 2 years by this point, like a year and a half. But I will give this game credit. where it's due. This game does look amazing, and it actually does have a pretty decent soundtrack at times, and I really did enjoy that. But that's pretty much it. The graphics and the soundtrack, I mean, I did like the look of the weapons, the style and everything. It showed off the steampunk fashion very well, but that's really it, to be honest. And there's really not much else I can say that's really good about this game, because mechanics wise, yeah, let's talk about that. Alright, now let's talk about the mechanics of this game. Now, considering it's third person, this game does work quite a lot like Gears of War, just a lot more cumbersome. Like, it has your cover mechanics and all that stuff. You can shoot from behind cover, but the way this game does that, the way that it does this kind of mechanics isn't very well. I mean, it's very sluggish, and considering you can only dodge whenever like an enemy throws a grenade or when a Lycan is charging at you, that's the only time you can dodge. You can't roll or any of that shit at all, especially considering how the enemy is, like how the enemy AI works. It's not that good. The enemy AI, especially like fighting against the enemy, it's not good considering how accurate their shots are from time to time. But when there isn't that many enemy types in the game. There's only like your usual normal infantry type enemies, like what you get from the rebels. But there is a few types of enemies that have like heavier weapons and have armor on, which can be a pain in the ass, especially if they have shotguns. And you obviously have the Lycans to fight against. But the thing is, the Lycans in this game, they're hardly around at all. You'll only see them like a few times, and even then, the game tries to make them out to be semi-boss fights, but all you need to do is just go into a corner, press X multiple times, shoot them, then press triangle to execute them. They're one of the easiest enemies I've had to fight in this game. Okay, true, I may have avoided pressing the X button a few times, but then again, I mean, that was me just getting used to the PlayStation controls again. And even that, there is boss fights in this game, but all they are is quick time events. In fact, most of this game is quick time events. When you're not fighting in combat, you'll have a lot of times when you're either watching a cutscene and then you'll suddenly have a quick time event to do. So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of this game, along with the fact that most of this game has cutscenes, which are probably like a quarter of the game overall. Now, probably one of the better parts of the game is the weapons themselves. There is a nice diversity of weapons in the game, and some of them are very, pretty good. And I really liked most of the weapons in this game. But it's just the fact that when they bring in some sort of special type weapon, they are only around once or twice, and that's pretty much it. Most of the time you're using this bloody pea shooter against goddamn armored enemies, and you end up dying a bunch of times. And there's another thing this game isn't really good at, and that's stealth. Now, most of the time I didn't really die in this game, but the most times I did die was during that whole stealth section where you're trying to get into the United India Company's headquarters. That bit wasn't too good, and true, you had a crossbow to use, but it only had limited shots, and it was a bit of a pain in the ass trying to sneak up on the enemy, especially when you have to press the right button at the right time, and if you fuck up, you fuck up. And hell, some of these guys are pinpoint accurate at spotting you. Hell, I was behind a bush mostly, and they still managed to spot me from a good distance away, and I was like, what the hell? So yeah, this game tries to do multiple things. It tries to be an action game, it tries to have quick time events, it tries to give you a decent story, and it does try to have some stealth mechanics in there, but most of it isn't all that good, to be honest. Apart from the good weapons and the look of the game itself, it's not doing particularly well, especially considering that the characters themselves, I've said before, are very forgettable. Hell, I've just finished this game and I don't really give two shits. Hell, the whole game, the funny thing is, this game ends with a shitty ass mediocre boss fight as well. I mean, the Lycan boss fights you only see like once, like twice, or 3 times. There's like these special elder Lycans, and I think you only see like 1 or 2 or 3 of them. And it's just basically just slicing them up and trying to dodge their attacks, and that's pretty much it. And it's so funny how the game ends on a quick time event. Oh, another thing. The game also has these random ass audio clips and like random pictures or collectibles scattered around the whole game. The thing is, I don't get why these are there. They don't like give any sort of background on like the events that are going on or anything related to the plot or anything. They're just there, and I'm like, well, what's the fucking point? It was just felt like it was there for achievements wise. That's it. These are probably the most pointless collectibles I've seen in the game, and plus, because this game is so short and you can't skip the cutscenes, there's not much replayability here either. So yeah, but then again, if you can get the game done in less than 6 hours, then there's not really much. There's not really much unless you're feeling utterly really bored. Then yes, there's no other reason for me to replay this game just to look for some collectibles that are really pointless. Well, there's not just like guns to use. I think like what weapons you can use. You can only have like one primary, a secondary, which is a pistol, and there's quite a few of those. And you have 2 types of grenades. You have your normal explosive grenade, and you have your smoke grenade. And that's pretty much it. There is, in fact, some sort of like puzzle type mechanics in the game, like where you're trying to like sort of cut circuits in certain areas, or when you're trying to unlock doors. Those are pretty interesting. I did like those a little bit, especially considering how all this tech and weapons were actually invented by Nikola Tesla. So it is interesting how this game did have some important historic figures in this game. That's pretty much it, really. Because these interactive parts can get. I feel like there are too few in between all the fighting and the cutscenes, really, especially the quick time events. And you can go down at least once in this game because you can use your Blackwater drink. But that's pretty much it. Once you've used that, you're pretty much fucked. Also, there's another thing that's called Black Light, where you get out your pistol and just go freaking all freaking Wild West on all your enemies. You just get your pistol out and then you just start ripping ass on enemies. It can be useful if you're in a sticky situation, if you're up against a lot of enemies. But other than that, I didn't really actually use it all that often because the enemies weren't that difficult to fight until like one of those armored guys came along with like a freaking grenade launcher or a thermite rifle, and that was pretty much it. But yeah, mechanics wise, this game isn't that brilliant, to be honest. I mean, story wise isn't that brilliant, characters wise isn't that brilliant. The only thing that's really good about this game is the graphics, which it really does look pretty damn good. The soundtrack is actually okay, and the weapons are alright too, especially how they operate. It's just like how often you see some of the weapons is not that good. Hell, there's only one section where you get to use like an RPG type weapon, and that's it. Another thing I want to discuss about the game is its level design, layout, and pacing. Now, the pacing for this game is very quick, but the game is very linear. There is not much you can do. I mean, this would have been a very cool place to like look around and stuff. If this was an open world type game, this would have been very interesting. But the fact that it's just linear and you're just going through like mostly very close quarters alleyways and stuff like that, there's not much you get to find out about this world, and that's a very disappointing aspect. Plus the fact they, like I've said before, since the game is less than 6 hours long, there's not really much you can fit in. I mean, I'm surprised how quickly I got this game done. I was expecting at least another hour or 2. But the fact that I got it done all in one night, it surprised the hell out of me. But hell, at least the locations looked really damn nice. I mean, hell, when you're going on this airship, you can actually see the imprint of your foot on the side when you you're like going down it. So I thought, yeah, this game does not disappoint if you're looking for a good-looking game, but it disappoints in most of our aspects. So if you're ever thinking of, well, I don't think anyone's even bothered about this game now, but if you do think about buying this game, you're not missing out on much, really. And to be honest, I feel like they might make a sequel, considering how this ends, and considering there's like an mid-credit scene that sort of hints that it could be a sequel, but I'm very unsure if there will be. So, that is so overall, I think Order 86 is basically just a show-off game for the PS4. There's really not much else to it, and it's very disappointing in a lot of areas, but it does have some decent areas, but that's pretty much it. So overall, I'm going to give the Order 1886 So, that is my review of the Order 1886. Not a brilliant game, considering it's just there to show off the PS4's power, but if they actually had concentrated on the game a lot more, then it could have been a pretty good game. Well, that could have actually ended up having a decent sequel, maybe, who knows. But, that's my review. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Leave a like, subscribe, comment down below what you think is right or wrong with the game. Share this video to like Twitter, Facebook, wherever you want, and if you do, I would greatly appreciate that. Check out the other channels, 2 Random Gamers and Splashman95, and I shall see you guys in the next random video.